Yes, welcome. Yes, I'm going to start my lives with my mask because guess what? We're still in it and we're going to be in this for a long time, especially with this current administration still holding tight to trying to keep their power. But we're not going to worry about that today because today is about joy. Today is about us as a community, as a people, and what we can do to move this forward and stay healthy and happy and healthy and sane. So happy Friday. This is dannIGeeLive. Thank you all for continuing to join me on these Fridays. I'm a little crazy right now because I was running around trying to prepare for this, but I have an amazing guest today, Aubrey Lynch, who was one of my fellow dancers in the Alvin American Dance Theater, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. And he's just an amazing person. And so there's a lot I want to get to. And hey, everybody for coming in. Hey, Kai here. So I think he's ready. I see he sent me a request. And please strap in. Aubrey is amazing. Yes. Aubrey is toned up. Let's see. Aubrey Lynch.
Hey. We're here. Isn't it great when the technology
We are
works?
here. Let me turn your volume up. Listen, if you guys could have seen me running around these last 10 minutes,
I know exactly.
trying to find everything. Part of it was I was trying to figure out how to load the videos that you sent me that were so adorable.
Thank you, yeah.
And I just had to do a screen record. Oh, hey, Michaela. A screen record to my iPhone because I really wanted to show the video of you with the baby ballerinas.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it the cutest thing? My little babies. We had hundreds and hundreds, but now because of COVID, we only have a few.
Oh, no.
So it's been devastating. It's really been devastating. And I cannot imagine, we'll talk about this I'm sure a little bit later, but I cannot imagine being a dancer. Can you imagine being in our prime, back in the day, at home, waiting for a pandemic to end, trying to stay in shape, and then get back on stage and do these ballets that we did? I can't
forget it. I can't even imagine.
And so for all of the dancers that are watching, we feel your pain, and we wish there was something we could do to help you, but you just got to muster your way through it, literally. And what I tell my dancers is that the true dancers are going to come out of this dancing, twirling.
Absolutely.
And God, and do not feel bad if it's not you, because I don't blame you, right? Do not feel bad if you say, you know what, I'm out. This is too much for me. Because to keep yourself ready for pointe, for all these ballet men tricks, a year in your living room, I just cannot imagine what that's like. So I also say that, some are going to come out of this whirling and come out of here like nothing happened, ready to go. So you all have to decide which one you're going to be. Exactly. And declare it, claim it, and own it. Either way.
That's right. Well, I mean, all of that and above. I mean, I just, this entire time, which is, as most of you guys know, this is exactly why I started doing these IG lives because, even with my platform, I just want people to hear the realness of how artists are feeling, but not just artists, how we as directors and presenters are also feeling
educators,
this. Educators, and not so much even, I think like myself with you, I've been able to continue working through this time, and I'm so fortunate and blessed for that. But even the emotional strain from our side, like I've said often, what it felt like to have to cancel all my artists last season. Yes, obviously the artists take the biggest brunt of that, and that's devastating. But even just what it does mentally to us as presenters, it's been super depressing, and having to, even talk to agents, even for next summer, who are already calling because, of course, they're looking out for their artists, right?
Right.
And asking, so what's going on for summer stage? What are you guys doing?
And we can't know. You just can't know. I mean, I'm trying to plan the fall class schedule.
Yeah.
Are we going to be social distancing or not? Right? Are we going to have full classrooms with half the kids vaccinated? Because people of color, we're not going to get vaccinated right away.
Yeah.
It's not, for good reason. We have been betrayed by the culture.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 versions, maybe 3 already that I'm working on, and be ready to change on the drop of a dime. We have an in-person version at the school for the summer program, and virtual. And I believe that this virtual world, a lot of it's going to exist long past the pandemic. So the kids that are
Exactly.
working on the virtual version are going to be the ones coming out of this on top, I think. But,
Yeah.
you're right. The pain and the depression and the anxiety, if I'm real with you, it has been a lot.
I know. Honestly, I do want to get to that because obviously I follow you on social media and I see all the things that you're posting about just staying mental wellness with all of this. Even pre-COVID, you're a big outspoken advocate for mental well-being, and
Right.
I've known that forever. But I definitely want to get there. So if you're just coming into the room, I am speaking with the great Aubrey Lynch II.
Hello,
And
hello.
Aubrey is currently the chief. Let me get this right, because it was
Yes. Get my title right, please. It's kind of long, so listen up.
chief officer of education and creative programs.
That's right.
Okay, did I get it right?
That's right.
Back and
Like,
forth
what
on
does
that
that
flyer.
mean? I'm the officer of the programs. I manage all the programs, all the classes, all the public speakers, all the workshops, anything that deals with the content of the school, the curriculum, the faculty. All of that is my responsibility. I was the dance director there for 8 years, 9 years, and then I
Wow.
was promoted in January to this position. And I'm lucky to work with the Yolanda Wins of the music program. She's from the Color Purple, and she has a magnificent program for instrumentalists and vocalists. And Leland Simmons, who was an Ailey II in Complexions, another brilliant master teacher who also works for NYU NYU Tisch
Yeah.
and Schoolmaker Ballet. So he's an amazing person. So I work with these people very closely, and together we are ignoring COVID and going about the business of putting kids on stage
That's right.
in their life and in their
Right.
performing life, right?
What I failed to say was the school, Harlem School of the Arts. Thank you, Tracy. That's right. Pull me up, Tracy. Listen.
Oh,
We're
yes.
live. We are in the moment. So if there's something you need to ask or you didn't hear correctly, feel free. This is where we are, right? We're in this together, people. So thank you, Tracy Barlow.
And I'm going to throw our host a curveball. So, because I want to talk about passion. I want to talk to you about the first time I saw you dance.
Oh.
Yes. Philadelphia, right?
Oh,
And I was you were wearing some little biker short number, and the hair was out, and you owned the stage. Every entrance, I was like, "Who is that girl? Who is that?"
Oh my God!
And I'm never gonna forget. It was just I don't know what the ballet was. I didn't see any other day. I just saw you back and forth and back to a downstage, do something like this. Your hands. It was primal, but so clean and beautiful, and that kind of passion has carried you to where you are now. That doesn't go away, right?
Aubrey,
Yeah.
thank you so much. You totally threw me. I wasn't ready for that, but
no, but that's who's here,
because, yeah, we didn't do a lot of ballets back in those days with our hair out, so I can only imagine that was probably Dreamtime by Elisa Monte.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then when I heard she's getting in the company, I was like, say what? Say what? And then I got to dance with Danny personally and get our prime of passion together. And it broke my heart when you had your hip thing, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of ended quickly. But the passion in you has carried you despite that. And you just reinvented yourself like a chameleon along the way. And the core, say the same when I say that, because for the people that are watching that are dealing with this COVID, that we've been knocked around by this thing, the passion is not going to go anywhere, right? So you had a shift, and those of us that can figure out how to maneuver through this crazy, insane horror show are the ones that are going to come on the other side, because people on the other side of this are going to be buying things, right? They're going to be selling things. They're going to want theater, because theater is the therapy of the masses, right?
Yes.
And we are the creative arts therapists of the world, so we need every artist to do their thing, right? So in whatever way you see fit, take those point shoes, put them down, and if the point goes, whatever it is, make it happen. That's what I try to do, because I missed the stage terribly.
Yes.
I could go back and become back. When I come back as my next life, I'll be a dancer again for sure. But I won't quit this time. I'm gonna stick to it. That's my biggest regret, leaving Ailey too soon. I think I was really done.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to that, and I think everything you just said is super inspiring and true, and all of the above. And I feel like you and I and several other, obviously, of our close friends, the Corinnes of the world, the Moniques of the world, Martin from Harlem Stage, and those of us that have this drive, this passion, we're going to be the ones to bring the kids along. Maybe the ones that fell off. Let's get back to it. We're still here. We're here for you. And we're going to help us all get back to it.
That's right.
And
Because the world
beyond.
needs us. The world, when in times of oppression, that's when the artists rise.
Yes.
Right?
So let's get back to the beginnings though, because I always got to go back to the day ones.
Yeah.
How little Aubrey Lynch.
Yeah.
Michigan.
And Woodhaven, Woodhaven. I'm actually glad I grew up there. It's a small town called Woodhaven. It's 20 miles south of Detroit, and I was a very academic. I graduated top 10 of my class. I was going to be a chemical physicist. My father said to me that there are not enough Black people in the sciences, so you're going to be a scientist. He had his PhD in philosophy from U of M. I was to do the same. I got accepted to Columbia University and U of M and a few others, but I wanted to go to New York City. My parents said, not New York, you're going to stay here. So, and also it's very expensive. So I ended up going to U of M. Alvin and Ailey came to Detroit. I was in the ballet school. I'm studying Chickadee with this Sylvia School of Dance. My teacher was Leanne King.
Right.
And I had a couple of teachers, Jean Gloria Newell and Betty Van. These wonderful ladies that were the instructors of the Chickadee technique. And Ailey came to give a master class. It was Kevin Brown and Carl Bailey.
And who?
Right? And Carl Bailey.
Oh.
And he was from Detroit, actually. They had those Horton things going on, flapbacks in the back. He said, whoa, I am home. Forget this ballet. This is amazing. So there was an audition. A woman gave me this piece of paper. I wish I could find her. She's the reason I'm here now. She gave me a piece of paper that said audition for the Ailey School the next day. I said, okay, I saw the movie Flashdance. I'm going to go and have a little look-see, right? So I went in there, and Denise Jefferson was running the audition, and Christopher Huggins was demonstrating.
Yeah.
And the dance they were doing was Stack Up.
No.
The Rude Boy, yes. Can you imagine?
Oh.
And so I had never done a pitch turn before, right? So using pitch turns and tees and tilts. And thankfully, I was very flexible and very skinny.
Yes.
And so she pulled me aside and goes, Aubrey, I see here on your application, you're a chemistry major at the University of Michigan. And she goes, how badly do you want to dance? And I said, more than anything. Of course, like a movie, right? So dramatic. I said, more than anything. She goes, well, a chemistry degree is a very big deal, so think about it, but we'd love to have you if you want to come. So I told my parents, I'm going to New York. And my parents, of course, had a cow. My mom cried. My father was very quiet about the whole thing. I'm grateful to them for they didn't stop me. And they always knew I could go home, but they were not happy at all. You can imagine. Even when my kids tell me now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but how did you even get started in dance in the first place? And how did you start going to classes?
Right.
When did you know you wanted to start dancing?
Well, I didn't. That's the thing. I was in high school. I never danced before.
Wow.
My cousin Tom Marie Puchelion, she's my favorite in the world, my favorite woman in the world. She was a cheerleader. No, she was a pom-pom girl. And I was fascinated by her and the pom-pom. So I learned the dance routines for fun. And my best friend at the time, Carol Soma, she brought me to she said we should enter this dance contest for the school. I said, I don't dance. I'm kind of a nerd. I'm in the back of the class. I'm shy. I'm being bullied. I was called the N-word, the F.
Oh, no.
I mean, everywhere in the book. I was hiding. I would not go to the bathroom during the change of class. I would only go during class, so no one would be in there waiting for me to beat me up. That kind of thing.
Oh, Aubrey.
It was really, really traumatizing. And so I said, I was not going to go and dance for these people. Are you crazy? And so she convinced me to do this dance routine, and we won the contest. So in a day, I went, what's that?
Of course it did.
Yeah, and so I went from being this kind of scared little kid, and I felt beautiful and powerful for the first time in my life.
Oh my God.
Right? That's really where I found the beauty of performing for me. I thought, okay, I am important. I'm not insignificant. I have a voice. And I've got something to say. And from that point on, I stood taller. I felt, and they still kind of do the teasing thing, but it was in the background. And we went down to a community center competition, which was for the whole community, and we won that. We won cable news, this whole little dance routine to a group called Kano, very, very 80s. With the robot and everything. This was before hip hop, and breakdance was just kind of getting into it. And so, that was my first entree. And then she took me to her school, and of course, the owner of the dance studio, the Peg Harris School of Dance. I will forever love those people.
Yes, Peg Harris.
I took a tap class and maybe a jazz class, half an hour a week, $7 was the class, right? And I saw this picture of a guy in the tights and like a classical ballet. I said, I want to learn ballet. And of course, the director of the school said, no, boys don't do ballet, right? So she said, no. They were all like, no ballet. So I convinced her, let me take the ballet class.
What was her reason? Did she give you a reason?
I'm guessing it's because they think all ballet dancers are gay. Or
Ah.
ballet makes you gay,
Mm-hmm.
right? The biggest myth in the world.
Right.
Whatever. Okay. And so she didn't want to make me gay, I guess. I'm guessing because the way the way she said it, I kind of could see that's what she was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but in any case, I convinced her. I took the class, and I remember very vividly. I took my first plie, and the teacher gasped, "Oh, a turnout!"
Yes.
Yes, and I didn't know what you're talking about at the time, but I had all this flat turnout, right? And so we did this. I did that for probably a few months, and then one of the cheerleaders invited me to her ballet school. And thank God that school was run by two ballet dancers, Philip and Michelle Mills, called Dancers Point in Woodhaven, Michigan. And they were come from a European company. They came to Michigan, opened the dance school. There was dress code, there was levels, there was point, there was a company, and I was introduced to this kind of professional world of what dance could be. And he's the one. Philip gave me a flyer that said, you should think about this company. And it was Alvin, Ailey, American Dance Theater. And the cover was Elizabeth Rojas and her hair flying.
Yeah.
Right? And I was mesmerized. I flipped through this book, and I had never seen Black Dancer except on Soul Train.
Goodness.
And I was,
Wait. So you were like 15 or so now?
I was like 15, yeah. 15 or 16.
You had never seen a black dancer before?
Except for the guy, what's his name?
Like TV, right?
Yep, Fame. What's his name? Fame. What's his name? I'm blanking. Somebody tell us what's his name. Anyway, Ray. Gene Anthony Ray.
Gene Anthony Ray.
Yeah. He's the only black dancer I'd seen, and the other ones were on Soul Train, and I saw a Solid Gold, I think was what it was.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Okay.
Remember that one. But in any case, yeah, I just never, and so to see a booklet of this elegance and this thing, right, that I'd never seen. I don't think I'd ever seen it before.
Wow.
And I remember distinctly thinking, wow, the whole universe opened up. But it didn't still click that you can make a living dancing. It was just kind of this other world that I wasn't really a part of, and I didn't really make the connection. But that pamphlet to this day sticks in my head of what the picture was. And so that's why when the Alvin Ailey company came to Detroit, and I was home for the weekend from the University of Michigan, I remember the name.
Yes.
And someone said, you should go to this class. I took the class.
Oh, wait. Because I'm all about things collide with us for a reason. You happen to be home for the weekend?
I just happened to be home for the weekend.
Oh my God, Aubrey. Are you kidding
I know. And I remember distinctly, I brought my chemistry, because being away at school, I was very, very sensitive. You can imagine, very dramatic. I was very, very sensitive, right? Yeah. And my mom, thank God, she could sense that. And so she could come up and get me on the weekends. And I would go home and I would study, and the house was quiet, and none of those other peer pressure stuff was going on because they were drinking and partying, carrying on every weekend. So I was home with mom studying. And someone said, there's a master class this weekend. Tomorrow you should go.
That's
total fluke accident. And then, like I said, she gave me this an audition. I would never have looked for that ever.
Right.
She gave me, and I wish I knew who she was. She gave me a piece of paper from the newspaper that said auditioning tomorrow, Ailey School. And lo and behold, there was Denise Jefferson, the queen of all, and Chris Huggins, the other short boy in the Ailey company, who I ultimately not replaced, but the year after he left, I always thought I would replace him, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, a year after. But in any case, yes, talk about serendipity. I mean, one thing led to another. I mean, it's so. When I look back, there's so much luck involved in success. You got to be ready. You got to be ready. Your homework. You got to have done prepared. You got to be trained. But when the opportunity comes, it can come at any time from anywhere.
Right.
And you don't know, is it destiny? Was this meant to happen? Because then there's more to come. I got to Alvin Ailey, to the school. Right. And I saw the studio of Black people.
Yeah, come on.
And it was the drums going live. Oh my! I'm never gonna forget looking in studio. It must have been the big studio. It was the Minskoff Theater.
Minskoff, okay.
In fact, before then, I walked in the building. Who did I pass? Ruth and Solomon's.
Shut up.
And I'm never gonna forget. She had these hoop earrings on, this little sundress, sandals, and that little bun in her head. And I thought, oh, she must be a dancer.
Oh, right.
I was so enchanted, right? But I walked up this little spiral staircase and went down the hall and looked into that doorway, and there was something like jazz or modern class, and the drums were banging, blah, 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 and they were twirling across the stage. all shapes and sizes and skin tones. And everything was
Yes.
beautiful. And I was just like, oh my God, it
Right.
was life changing.
Yes.
Right. But even then, I didn't consider myself one of them. I was very awkward and very much a beginner, and
Aw.
couldn't link steps together. But I knew I had given up everything to be there. I had saved some money. I worked in this little Wendy's that summer before I came. Right, saved my little $2,000. My little suitcase was junk. I brought to New York City.
Come
And
on. Where were you staying? Where did you stay?
well, thankfully, my father, by coincidence, happened to be in Bear Mountain at a job. So he was there an hour north of the city. So I would take the bus from Port Authority an hour north to live with my father, who I hadn't lived with since I was 8 years old.
Okay.
So love him as I do, I had not ever lived with him as an adult.
Okay.
And so it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
To kind of
So you would go an
together.
hour each way.
Yes.
To...
It was rough. So
wow.
I had to actually, I remember taking the bus from there at very, very early. I was at work by 7:30, which was at Ticketmaster, selling Broadway show tickets online. Then I would go to class at 10 and rehearsal and then class and go back to work at the Creative Corn Company on 86 in Lexington.
Yes.
I was not playing.
You were
did not
determined.
do anything but work and take class. I didn't see a movie. I didn't go to a restaurant. I didn't have any money. Yeah. I was starving. I was eating brown rice and lentils. I was eating tuna fish sandwiches, and the Subways was 90 cents, and I would walk and not use the Subway so I could save that 90 cents. At the end of the week, I bought myself a pint of Haagen-Dazs vanilla.
The luxuries, okay? You were being luxurious.
And I was robbed. I was mugged.
Oh, no.
It was really, really, because New York City, people don't realize, back then, New York City was rough.
Yeah.
Times Square, it was
terrifying. Yeah, right? It was scary.
The hustlers and the peep shows and the drugs. People getting their purses snatched right there in front of you. All of that.
But you were there. You were living it. You were living.
I don't know how. I was young and I was so innocent. I really was. I hadn't seen or heard anything that wasn't from the town I was from, railroad tracks, chickens and ponies, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And the passion and the drive of being in that school really, really saved my life. Because you also know it was the peak of the HIV epidemic.
Oh, right.
And they were calling it the gay plague. And the gays were being punished for their deviant behavior. And 50 of my friends died.
Wow.
Men. Only one of them was a woman. The rest are all boys who probably were early, 25 to 30, if not younger. And some of their parents would come to the funeral having not even known that they were gay. They'd come and find out because of all the gays that were there, the person was gay.
Oh God.
So it's really, really, to this day, I don't really go to memorials if I don't have to, because it's just too much.
Yeah.
It was really traumatizing, and I think that really colored a lot of my intimacy issues that I have now, the things I'm working through, my mental health. I was the prime of my life. I couldn't date, you couldn't fool around, couldn't be crazy. I was even more regimented. And the regiment, unfortunately, now today is the rhythm of my life. It's perfect, discipline, and order, and I can't ever get to be wild and crazy because it happened bad. And so it was horrible. Yeah. It was a horrible time. And again, watching the Ailey Company rehearsals, and then being able to dance in class really helped protect
that was your physical and mental oasis, just being at the Ailey School and being enveloped in all of that love and culture and beauty. Yeah. Right?
That's what it was. And I remember looking into, there was a specific moment, somewhere between it must have been my second year. I was on the certificate program, not the scholarship, certificate program, right? I graduated.
Just for people that don't know, explain the difference.
Well, I believe what it was back then is that the certificate program was you could pay for a portion of your education like college. At that point, it wasn't accredited, but it was like a college. It was like an 18-month program. You got a certificate that said you had this amount of training. In my mind, I remember it was for the less talented people. Not that they had to work a little harder. Didn't have the facility, didn't have the technique yet. They were kind of beginners. They didn't put you, because at that point, the pre-professional program was for the really high-level trained dance. You came there ready to go, right? And I was not. I was very rough on the edge. So I'm thinking that because of who I was with, we were kind of the rough edges. We were beautiful, and a lot of them ended up working anyway.
Yeah.
But we had to start at the bottom of that program.
Right.
And I then was auditioning for the professional program, got into that program.
Yes.
And I remember thinking I watched this rehearsal. I said, you know what, I can do that.
Yeah.
From the very moment I was with this young lady. Don't remember her name. We went back to class, and I said, you know something, we can do that. I can do that. And I went to that bar. I said, and from that point on, I said, I'm going to be there. And my mind shifted, and I was even more tunnel vision, almost to the point that I was obsessed being an Ailey company. And I don't know what would happen if I had.
Sometimes it takes a little fanaticism to get there. So I understand
I think that people that want to be in the company, you can relate. You know, my young dance people, you can relate what it's like to want to be in that company. It's just a beautiful company.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when Penny Frank came into my class and said,
Penny Frank.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, we're going to take it back further. I was working at this Ticketmaster place, and I was there with Alan Barnes.
Oh my God, Alvin.
Right, Alan Barnes. Sorry, for those of you who don't know, he's a fabulous dancer from Europe now. But in any case, he was there. He was in Dance Theater of Harlem, either the junior company, and he left the company. He was taken to Ailey II, and left Ailey II to go into Dance Theater of Harlem.
Oh,
right?
I know he was in Ailey too.
Yes. Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. Because that September, when I thought I was going to get in and be chosen, they chose everybody but me. Desmond and Peter Moore and.
Oh, so wait, so you were in. So Desmond and you guys, you were all in the same.
Yeah, Desmond, Troy.
The classes.
Francesca, although they're younger than me, I was in the same crew, right?
Gotcha.
And so Troy was much younger. So Desmond got in that year along with our crew. Lydia Roberts.
Lydia.
was in there. Bridget Denise and Deanna Hyatt. Those ladies were all in there, right? That's my roommates. Desmond was my best friend, and Deanna and Lydia were my roommates, and Freddie Moore was my soul brother. Freddie Moore.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So, let me go back for a second. So once you got to New York, to the school, you never left.
No. I remember I was in Times Square. I watched this woman get her bag snatched. I swear to God. It was that moment, like in Gone with the Wind. As God's my witness, I will never be hungry again. It was that moment. I stood there and I was wearing shoes that I literally worn the soles off. There were holes in them.
Oh no!
I couldn't afford to buy another pair of shoes. Yeah. I was hungry and I was tired. I was walking to work and I said, I'm never leaving. I'm not going back to Detroit. And if I don't begin this company, I will at least be in the creative arts for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
I made a vow. It was a real vow.
Wow.
And I walked to work and I knew that I was only there as temporary. I was going to be in the company.
Right.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
So tell us about, so now you're in the professional program, and tell us about when you finally are accepted into Ailey II.
Yeah, that was an amazing time because 6 months had gone by. They were all chosen in September, and I went through the holidays. I remember dancing in Memoria that year. I was very proud of that.
Right.
Right. And in January of that next year, which was in 87, actually, in January, Penny Frank came into the class and said, Sylvie Waters wants to speak to you. And I was like, Sylvie Waters wants to talk to me. My heart's pounding. And I walk there and she invites me to the company. And that was more than any other moment, still the happiest moment of my life. It was the most reaffirming moment. Not Lion King, not Alvin himself, ever made me feel that moment I had risked my entire everything, right? And my dream had come true.
Wow.
It wasn't the main company, but you had Sylvie Waters, the master, right, of dance at the time. Still is actually, she's my master in a way. And she was invited into her vision.
That's amazing.
That was the ultimate reaffirmation that I had done everything right. And dedicated my life to this thing. I remember calling my grandmother and crying on the phone, calling my dad, my mom, and all the things, right? And we only made $90 a week, but that was the first time I was paid for dance.
Oh, wow.
And I went shopping for the first time. I don't know how I did only $90, but I did. I spent a little money, little black hat, little new shoes, little outfit, and I was out there with Lydia Roberts.
What? You got a little outfit?
Shopping, right? And then the first stop was Albany, and we danced Ice Fire. What was his name? A very famous jazz teacher's name. I'm blanking on the choreographer now. Ice Fire. In any case, It was so beautiful.
Was it Fred Benjamin, maybe?
Fred Benjamin, yes. Fred
Yes,
Benjamin.
Fred
Yes.
Benjamin.
Danced his dance, and we danced Blue Suite and
Yes.
Revelations.
Oh.
That's what, and Sylvia taught me Rock-a-My
Yes.
Soul, right? The first thing I learned was yellow section.
Yes.
And that was an amazing time.
Yeah.
That was probably the most fabulous time of my life. And then, of course, Freddie Moore joined the company the following year, and then Troy joined the company. And we had a wonderful time together because we were peers, and we were together, twirling and dancing and crying and getting sick together. It was an amazing time.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
And
Christopher Huggins just joined. Hey,
Christopher, I was talking about you, boo.
Yes.
Talking about your
Oh
pitch
my God.
turn
So
in my very first audition.
yes. So you're saying you were in so Ailey II, as far as I know, and is this still true to this day that there's like a 2-year tenure and then you either move on to the first company or you just go
I
bye-bye?
believe so. The difference was back then you had to be invited. Now they can't audition, you can audition. And now it's actually its own, it's a much more internationally known company. It tours to Europe now as well.
Yeah.
So it's really much bigger. I don't know if it's 2 years, probably is, I would imagine so.
Mm-hmm.
I was there 2 years, because I joined late. They let me stay, which would have been the beginning of a 3rd year, but it's actually my 2nd year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Sylvia, we talked about this, and she said, I need to give Aubrey something to do. He's been there a while, to push him. And so I don't know whose idea it was, whether it was Alvin's idea or Sylvia's or George Faison, but it was Reflections in D.
Oh.
And so I learned that, and up until that point, the only people that had ever danced that was Alvin, Judy, and Dudley.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And then they gave it to me, Troy, and Freddie. We did that.
Oh, amazing.
The first tour, yeah. And we filmed it on the Cosby Show, right?
Yeah.
And
I posted
was
that.
there.
So I posted that earlier. And Instagram, I think, took it down. I'm not sure if it's still up.
Because of the music,
yeah,
the algorithm. So that's why I can't post it. You can post it in silence, but you can't post it. I've often wanted to ask them, could you get the rights so I can post it?
You should.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. Because I think it's a very important. It's now for me very historic because I danced that role. Alvin was there. Judy was there. All those old Ailey divas were there from the beginning, and we performed that day. And then I was in the studio. I was in the student lounge of the Ailey School in the Minskoff. And Alvin came into the room of silence. He sat down with the students, as he often did, and we watched the Cosby Show. When the solo came on, somebody said, Aubrey, that was so beautiful. And Alvin said, yes, that was beautiful. Aubrey, come with me, right? So, he said, come with me. And so it was a VCR. I packed up the TV. He said, I'm going to bring the TV to his office. So I brought the TV out to the hallway, and he stopped me. And he said, I am inviting you into the company. We're going to Paris in 2 weeks, and I want you to come with us.
Wait.
Yes.
Just like that.
Just like that. Now, I had auditioned 3 times, have been cut. Devastated. I thought I was never going to get in the company. That's why I began studying acting and singing, and I thought it was going to happen. Right? The year that I thought I was going to get in, after Chris Huggins left, they chose Wesley Johnson. Is his name?
Wesley Johnson.
Oh, I missed Wesley so much.
I know.
Yeah, he's gone. But I was devastated. And so I was like, I guess I'm over. I'm going to move on. Yeah. So when he said this, here is Alvin Ailey, the master and the pioneer of African-American theatrical dancing, telling our stories and movement in the way that no one else had successfully done in a commercial way. There are others, but he made it commercially successful and accessible. Taught me the first thing. I'm going to go back for a second. He said to me in a rehearsal once, talking to Lydia, and we were in the rehearsing Isba. Tell me your life story in that phrase of movement.
Wow.
It was 8 counts, Danny.
Okay.
It was 8 counts of movement, right? Yes. Tell me your life story, right? He had been asking me in the same rehearsal, give me your highest and grandest arabesque.
Okay.
Arabesque, arabesque. Over and over again. I was trying to see my foot, back and back and back. Right?
Yes.
I was going up, up, up. He walked out discouraged. Never knew why. Turns out later he was waiting to see the arabesque that only I could do, right? To tell my story through the arabesque.
Oh
right?
my!
And the idea that you could tell the human story through movement has been something that has stuck with me.
See, we talk about this every week. It never fails that it comes up that, yes, get the leg up. It's beautiful. We all want to see it. But Tell me the story with that leg up. Tell me
Tell me
something.
the story. Anybody can stand at the bar and make a pretty arabesque if they stand it long enough. Anybody. Right? It'll eventually go up, no matter how you stretch it, work it.
Well,
but can you? Well,
sorry.
I said your arabesque. Might not be Misty Copeland's, but it'll be an arabesque, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, but can you lift that leg that only you can do?
Yes.
In a way that tells your life story in the arabesque.
Yes.
And that's what Alvin wanted from all of us. And I think still, long after he's gone, it's our obligation, our responsibility, the art form, to tell a story that is accessible. I'm all for abstract avant-garde, but you can't have crazy music, crazy choreography, crazy lights, and crazy costumes.
Yeah.
Something's got to ground it in the theater, right?
Say that again.
What's that?
Say that again.
Yeah, it's got to be grounded in theater. If you're for the choreography, I'm telling you, this is from the horse's mouth. The choreography has to be accessible. When the curtain goes up, you want the audience to know what you're talking about. It can't be. You can't be so on yourself. Oh, I'm going to do this. Nobody cares. They don't care how pretty it is.
Taxi.
They don't care. Okay. I'm telling you, they don't care how pretty it is. They don't know what they're looking at. Right. Yeah. Even the most trained audience, who might want to be challenged, they want to know what the story is. I don't mean them to go, I love you. Don't pantomime or do sign language necessarily, but make sure you've thought about the narrative. Yeah. The beginning, middle, and an end. Who were these characters before the ballet began? Where are they going afterwards? It's a continuum. It doesn't stop by the wings. It goes on to infinity. Right. Right. And so I see all these young choreographers doing what they call contemporary, which means that they don't know what it is. They're just moving around. And there's no story, no narrative. And good for you. I love it. It's very exciting. They're doing things that we could never do, that we wanted to do, we tried to do. But if you're not going to move me, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah. I don't just stand there and look and make me want to go, oh, right?
So, you know how Facebook has those memory things that pop up? Today, I guess I posted maybe 1 or 2 years ago, there was a photo of Renee Robinson in Night Creature. I guess it was the year that Ailey honored her, and they posted those photos a few years ago. And it's even just from that photo, it's just the curve of her neck and the way and her hand, everything.
She knew exactly what she was doing all the time because she invested in the story. Yeah. Right? Every move has a story. You know, in Revelation, you stir the grits, or you reach, you know, you're blocking the sun, you see the sun. There are these moves it's all imagery. So you put the images together, those images say something. Even if they don't know exactly what you're talking about, they'll feel something.
They'll feel something.
Yes. What's the most personal is the most universal. So the more you unveil and the more vulnerable you are, the more moved the audience will be. To be a true art therapist, right, on stage, the therapy of the masses, you've got to be willing to unveil yourself. And unfortunately, there's not a lot, even though I think a lot of actors can do this today, a lot of choreographers can't. Because Carmen DeLava said once that choreographers that really understand the narrative have spent some time learning theater, real theater, right? And it's true, those dancers that are telling stories with movement have experienced the kind of storytelling that's necessary. Where you place a dancer on stage, tell the story. Where you light, when lights come on, when the music starts, it's all part of the storytelling. You're creating a mood. You're saying, here's where we are, and here's how we're going to tell the story. You tell the story and say, here's where we were, here's how we told the story, here's what's next, in the wings. See you next time. You're telling them that. You got to actually do that. Yeah. Don't assume that they are going to understand you. Round. Oh, yes, I love. Like, well, okay. To you it is. But what are you saying to them? They're part of the equation. Right. And maybe I'm an old purist, but I just missed that kind of very simple storytelling. You do not need a lot of movement. And you have a lot of movement, it better be for a good reason, because nobody cares.
Well, that's why I'm so glad that you shared the files with me, just, watching you. I've seen you in action, mentoring your young people and telling them, giving them images and imagery and the stories. But going back just quickly for a second, when Alvin invited you in, you, were one of the last dancers that he hired.
Yeah, there were 5 dancers chosen the last year of his life, right? Each with a unique story. There was myself. I was invited in on the Friday, and Alvin said the audition is on Monday. You still must come. You still must audition, but I'm going to pick you. Imagine that was just amazing.
Okay.
I was scared all weekend long.
Oh, how do you sit on that?
It was horrible to have to wait those 2 days for the audition. But you better believe I twirled that day.
I know that's right.
I twirled. So then in the audition, he chose Don Bellamy, who he invited from Washington, and Maggie Peel. Really tall, beautiful, blonde.
Peel.
Gorgeous legs and feet, living forever. Yeah. And then on December 1st of that year, he passed away. He died, right? And then Michael Joy and Dwayne Cyrus came in after him because I guess they were on Alvin's list of people to come
Oh,
up to.
wow.
Right?
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's what happened. So they were fabulous. And so you can say, everyone will say that they're the last one, right? So I always say I'm the last one that was invited in.
Wait.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Tell it.
You can own that. That's okay. You can own that.
I'm very proud of that because, again, the way we talked about at the beginning of the call is that things kind of unfolded. I was busting my black booty the whole time.
Yeah.
I was working and doing I taught aerobics, I sold popcorn, I sold Broadway tickets, and I rehearsed and I took class all the time, right? And then, but I was a very short dancer, and they didn't really want short dancers back then. They wanted tall dancers. Christopher left, he was short. I thought I would be chosen to replace him, and I wasn't. So I thought they chose the tall guy, which was Wesley. And so when Alvin chose me, he had a very specific reason. He said, you've got a beautiful, poetic, lyrical quality, and I hope that I can use it. I said, well, I'm sure there's something. And I wish that first conversation, because we went back to his office, and we watched Reflections in the Again together. It's he and I. And she ends with, your face. And he goes, and what a face.
Oh.
And from that point on, I know. It was like, she was thinking about it because I was so young and so scared. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, exactly. He said, that was the face, right? That was the face. And he said, what a face. And we talked about the power of presence, lyrical movement, simplicity, stage presence, and how you use your face. And Dudley taught me to lift your sternum so that light can bounce like all that.
Oh, yeah.
The whole lyrical thing.
Yeah.
And I learned that in rehearsal and junior company. And Alvin did work with us in the second company as well, coached us. But I wish I could remember the details of that conversation. I was floating so high, I don't remember a lot of it. I was so afraid of him.
I bet.
On the road, we went to Paris. Oh, actually, before that. The first rehearsal was a rainbow on my shoulder.
Ooh.
Yes, with Donnie McHale.
Ooh.
I got a rainbow, boom. But we learned it from him. That was amazing.
Wow.
Right? Went to Paris at the Grand Palais, and we performed that. Albums in the audience, had 4,000 people screaming and screaming and screaming.
Oh my God.
And one of those nights, Desmond sprained his ankle. So I had to learn his part in Blue Suite at the Hall. So me and Chai were in the little video room on the VCR, learned this little dance, and went on stage. Yeah, my heart, my Chai, yeah. And I did Desmond's part in Blue Suite. And as I came off stage, I said, I can't believe I remembered all that. I just learned it. And Alvin said, that was beautiful.
Oh, so here is your company's time. Remember that famous picture?
Yes, that was the last photo we took together. That's Chai there on the left in the blue. Yep. That was a beautiful time. Those dances were fabulous.
Everything.
Theatrical, technique. Look at Deborah Chase down there.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Can you guys see all of that? These are amazing photos I have that I found that, well, you shared with me also, but I mean, and then let's talk about, that's you with Nasha. I didn't really know that dance, Chelsea's Bells. Yeah,
Barry Martin was my mentor. He was a man that choreographed in a wheelchair. He was injured in South Africa as a dancer. He was 21. And because of the laws of apartheid, they wouldn't help him.
Oh my God.
Because he ended up at a white hospital, they wouldn't take him in. They drove him 2 hours to a black hospital, to a white section of a black hospital. No, I guess a black section of a white hospital was. And he was the first person admitted to the white section in that country's history. And he ended up being a quadriplegic, paralyzed from neck.
Oh my God.
Right?
Say his name again.
His name is Barry Martin.
Right.
It's a story that I'm going to tell one day because it's an incredible story.
Absolutely.
And he came to New York City and started a dance company, and I was his premier dancer.
Wow.
While I was in Alvin Ailey. And because he couldn't move, he would describe movement. And he would draw scratching six figures, because he could use his arms but not his hands. So he would scratch out stick figures and I would imitate the shapes and bring them to life. So I learned to dance by doing that.
Wow.
Give me a shape, two of the shapes, and I had to figure out how to connect them.
Aubrey.
Yeah, that's how I learned. And that's why I worked with Ruth and Solomon's and Murray Griffith and some of the old school
Yes.
dancers with him. He had a company. And so he choreographed this ballet, Barry Martin. It's called Chelsea's Bells. And it was about a fantasy of this woman dressed like Nasha. And
Yeah.
I was her little fantasy man.
Can't
It was
wait.
it was extreme. Extreme. It was a lot. I don't think, it was ahead of its time. It was pre-Vogue, pre-Madonna.
Yeah.
Madonna did this a couple of years later, this look at the beginning of the thing. But
Mm.
back then, it was that cutting edge
Yeah.
stuff. And it was very contemporary and way, way sexual. And it was too much for Ailey.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So tell me, I know you guys, your brothers.
Yes, Dwight and
Oh,
Desmond.
Desmond is white.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
I love it.
We were in France, I believe, and we were at dinner, and we were talking about starting a dance company. And it was called
really?
DR, back then, DR Squared. Desmond Richardson and Dwight Roden Squared, DNR, the initial squared. And they worked out the first few phases of movement on us. It was me and Michael Thomas and Carlos. And then I think later that year or something, maybe a year or two later, is when he choreographed Frames that you were in with me.
Frames, yes!
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a pleasure that was.
Yeah, that was amazing. And again, that was cutting edge, way ahead of time. And then they left the company and founded Complexions.
Right. So, I mean, I didn't realize, reading through your bio, you left Ailey in '93?
Yeah.
And do you want to share, like, why?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, it's very painful to talk about because
I'm sorry.
No, it's important. It's nothing dramatic. It's nothing painful for you, but for me, it's to relive that where I was in my head. Remember, it was the peak of AIDS, and my first partner died. I watched him, go from this big, beautiful black man to a skeleton, right? He died, and that really is emblazoned in my head. So I was really I was in a survival state, and my only piece was on stage. So when I danced Centerman, right? I was running from AIDS.
Oh, Aubrey.
I made it real because I wanted to release my fear of failure. Because to me, in years of therapy later, I realized that I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of failure. And to me, catching the virus at that time, a death sentence, would have been devastating for my parents, my family, and would have gone along with the stereotype that all gays die of sexual diseases, right? And so it would have been the ultimate failure. And so on stage, I would literally, Centerman, I would see all that horror. Never forget seeing my former boyfriend the last time walking into St. Vincent's Hospital, and you walk down the corridor, and there were cots the whole hallway down of unrecognizable skeleton men. Oh. And they were there, just kind of laying there dying. Oh, there was nothing you could do for them. And I mean, there must have been 50 men in cots that I passed. And so by the time I got to my friend's room, I was, shaking, and then I saw him with a pipe drilled in his chest, and he couldn't talk. He could just reach his hand to me. I took his hand. Tears ran down his eyes. I was trying to be strong, and I gave his hand a kiss. No, I didn't do it. I wanted to, but I was afraid that I was going to catch something, right? And so I walked out, and I don't know. The nurse was a friend of his. He told me he's not going to make it through the night. He said, I'm glad you came. And I remember walking past those cots again, and walking outside, and you talk about an ugly cry. Yeah, that was bad. And that was actually, I was an Ailey II at the time. So I carried that all the way through. And so I would make the dances I performed about real life things. I was acting as a dancer on stage. Yeah. But what happened is by the time I got to yellow section, I was healed. I was living the rebirth of redemption, of forgiveness, of being in heaven with God. Yeah. Every night I did that. It was real for me. And over time, I learned to process that stuff, which is why I'm a firm believer in creative arts therapies. Art therapy, music therapy. It works. It worked, and it certainly worked for me. So I remember that the fear of that. So now you fast forward to '93, and I was offered an opportunity to do a musical, and okay, there it is, my revelations. I hated my shirt used to come out because I was so flexible sideways. Anyway, so I asked Judy if I could take a few weeks off and do this musical. She said, if I let you go, I've got everybody go. So I said, well, I guess if I do the musical, I've got to leave the company, or I stay in the company and do the musical. And that was very black and white, very hot, cold, very, no gray area for me. It was all or nothing. And I don't remember anybody talking to me to convince me otherwise. If someone gets said, Aubrey, are you crazy? You spent the last 6 years fighting for this company. You're going to leave for a musical? You crazy?
Yeah.
In my mind, though, because of that third audition, when Wesley got in and I didn't, I thought, well, I'm not going to be a company. I began to study acting, and I did have other interests. I only intended to stay in the company 5 years anyway. I thought I would do 5 years. I'm going to go to Broadway, do film. I would do all of it. So I didn't want to die a dancer because I wanted so much more. So it made sense at the time. So I decided to leave the company to go and pursue this musical theater thing. And I was asked to join a boy band, believe it or not, by Frank Gaston, who created En Vogue. Yeah,
I guess I never. I mean, we hung out, we talked in the company, but I guess I never really knew the real. I didn't know. He just okay. Aubrey's going. He's leaving. Yeah. And I didn't know the story. Wow, Aubrey.
And I went to go but what happened is I did this musical. I was terrible.
Oh no.
But I got through it. It's on video somewhere.
Okay.
And then I came back and went to this deep depression because I went from the top of the world to the very bottom. I made no money. I was back to where I was eating brown rice and lentils again.
Oh no! I was actually going to ask you that because I see from my notes that I took. I always pull out my notebook, right? And there was that span of time between you leaving Ailey and then there was like 3 years.
It was 3 years.
3 years
of being Egyptian. I did.
So tell us about those 3 years.
Oh my God! I auditioned for everything. This is where I learned to do what I do now. Is I got a picture and a resume, and I got an agent. I did mailings. I did ghosties where you go to commercials. I did some print work. I did do a movie that was choreographed by Donald Byrd.
Okay.
And I was in music videos with George Michaels. Actually, I'm in a musical video with Tracy Inman.
Oh wow!
We were cut out of it, but we're in it.
Yeah, you were hustling, huh?
Yeah, I was hustling.
Yeah.
And starving.
Oh my God.
I was being too grand. I didn't want to get a regular job. So if you are watching, people, don't be too proud to get a regular job. You got to eat. You don't do what I did. That was stupid.
I mean, listen, after I left Ailey, I was just talking to our good friend Desiree Vlad about this the other day. And I do want to do a bigger panel with a bunch of us to talk about the realness of, sometimes you got to take those odd jobs. And here I was.
Reinvention.
I just done Cry.
Yeah, exactly.
If you later, I'm
art, that's the gig.
Selling theater tickets or just, all good.
We all know that if you're in the arts, unless you're, Meryl Streep, you're going to be unemployed. And even Meryl Streep goes time with the unemployed, right? So you will spend 85% of your time unemployed, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not true. You're not as good as your last job. You are good. You bring value to every job that you do, whether you're singing beat or the Paris Opera. You just do.
Yes.
You know that about yourselves, dancers and singers and actors. You are the gift. Every casting director is waiting for you to walk in the door. Just
yes.
Okay. So I wish I had known that because I was always so scared about the auditions. I hated it. But then I went to this, I saw a thing in the paper. It said The Lion King. And I thought, that's kind of stupid. That's a dumb idea. I wish that
pause
had
there
been my
for
dumb idea.
a second because we're almost at the hour, but we're going to keep going. But if you are just joining us, no, it's fine. It's all good. But if you're just joining us, I'm talking with Aubrey Lynch II, former Ailey diva dancer, Lion King original cast member, which we're about to get into right now, and current chief officer of education and creative programs at Harlem School of the Arts. I just have to put that in there.
Yeah.
But continue. We are at the Lion King stage.
Okay, great. So I saw in the paper, but I saw Garth Baker's name in the paper. And here we go, serendipity again, because I did a ballet with Judy Jamison called Forgotten Time. Right. I did a slow hinge in a pool of light.
Yeah.
Right? And when I went to the audition, Garth was very close to Alvin, said, I saw you do this hinge. And if you know Garth Baker's choreography, it's a lot of silence.
Okay, was this Forgotten Time, this picture?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it.
You're beautiful in that.
Yeah, that was it. That was the role, yeah. And Michael Thomas did that role as well. So I auditioned, 4 or 5, whatever that was, 4 or 5 callbacks. And then I booked the show.
Yes.
And at the time, you know, it's a Broadway show. I figured you stay 6 months, make some money, pay off my debt. I was 13 grand in debt, living on my credit cards, and then you leave, right? Well, I walked into my first fitting and saw those pictures. These sketches right here. These
Yes.
were assigned by Julie Taymor, but these sketches were on the wall. I said, "Oh,
Oh,
they're going there. That's what I
yes.
do," right? And I was so engaged that they promoted me to dance captain in charge of all the choreography,
Yes.
right? And they promoted me to associate choreographer. I taught the show all over the world. I became the
Yes.
associate producer,
Boom.
and for the next 10 years, I mounted 14 productions around the world.
That, listen, kids, listen to this story. Because that part of your journey I started hearing about and seeing. And you went from basically hustling, rice and beans, lentils, whatever, to the magic and the riches of The Lion King.
Right, and it happened to be the biggest show, the show to be in.
It still is.
And yeah, and it's a beautiful show, and it comes from the right place. I'm very proud of that time and helping to create that, that original cast has a lot of entitlement for, because we were part of the creative process, right?
Right.
And it was magnificent. The idea that Julie Taymor and Garth Fagan were working together and level one with the music. And Julie would say, we want to do things on stage that can't work in film. That can only be told in a live experience, right?
Yes.
In a movie, she uses this example. In a movie, if you do the movie Titanic, the boat better look real and it better sink, right? But on stage, you don't even need a ship. You have just a wheel, or dark or monologue, and suddenly you're there because the audience comes to suspend their disbelief.
Yes.
And that, again, fueled me as a creative person. That was great. And so when I mounted the show all over the world, it was amazing to have 10 years, right? And then, just to be real, the darkness came, right? So I'm at the top of the world. I meet Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Sidney Poitier, Cicely Tyson, the Clintons. I meet Oprah. And then what happens? Downsize. We're done.
No.
Yeah. So Disney moved on, and I had to get off the train.
Oh.
And it was very painful. It was very sudden. And I did not know what to do, where to go. I was completely alone. I'm exaggerating. Who do you talk to? I was the biggest show in the world for 10 years. I became the Lion King king. I hired at least 60 or 70 dancers from the Ailey School and Ailey Company. All over the world. I was taking Brazilians and putting them in Germany. I was taking South Africans, putting them in Australia. I was a whole thing happening. And I loved the show.
Yes.
I loved the work.
Yes.
And it was everything that I'd ever learned from Alvin was in the show.
Right.
And Garth Fagan was amazing, like a second father to me. And it was just, and then I was walking home with a box, brown box. Lost my wallet that day, lost my phone.
No.
I don't know how I got home. The door I had, and I remember going to bed that night and being numb, and woke up the next morning, and I said, if I don't get up, I'm never gonna get up.
Oh no.
So I got up, I took a computer and said, Google arts jobs. That's what I did. And shame on me for not thinking about that before.
Well, I mean, come on, but you were in the midst of just like, you were doing it.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like still, even if you are unless you have enough money to retire as an independently wealthy person, you're gonna have to reinvent.
Yes.
Most jobs are not gonna last. For people like Judy Jamison and myself, those are rare careers. Like you get one job and you stay with it.
Okay.
Right? Like even Judy went off and did her own thing, but Chai was there the whole time, right? Sue was there the whole time, right? That's amazing. She even says that. It's really amazing that happened. It's very rare. So no matter who you are, get ready.
Get ready.
I'm sorry.
Switch it up.
Is coming and it's gonna hurt.
Okay.
When I talk about darkness,
this all the time with people. You have to be ready to switch it up.
And that's what COVID is, people. COVID is that right now.
COVID
the whole
is
world
slap in the face to everybody
right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We do. And so I did. And when I go, it's going to sound cliche, but I went back to follow your volition, the whole thing. Follow the things you love. I asked myself, what do you love to do? Because I don't know what to do. I have no idea. And I thought about, was like, what do I teach? Do I go to Chris Barber's show? I was freaking out. I had this expensive apartment that I still own, and I had huge bills and no job. Right? And no idea how I was going to ever get through that. So I said, I'm going to have faith. I'm Aubrey Lynch.
Well, can we stop? Can we hold on there for a second? Because
Yeah,
again, we
yeah,
talked earlier about mental health and
yeah.
getting through even in this time. I mean, I was just saying to a friend of mine the other day, like I had to reach out to my organization and say, I'm going to need some extra days off at the end of the year because I just need a mental health break. And I've done in and out of therapy over my years because me leaving Alien the way I did,
Right. Of course.
injury. I mean, most people know my career was snatched out of my
Yeah,
hands, right?
I know.
And I went through a heavy depression,
Yeah.
for like a year. I mean, it's still, I didn't seek therapy until years later, but the realness of really having the support system of a professional is key.
It
And
is
people need it's not,
essential.
it shouldn't be, I think it's less and less stigmatized, but back in those days, the stigma, especially even in Black families, let's talk about it, going to therapy, it was unheard of, at least in
It
my
was,
family.
you do not pray away mental health. You just don't. You pray for spiritual health. Mental
Yes.
health requires a different kind of nuanced assessment. You can find your other ways to treat it, but you want to
True.
go be assessed.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to talk to a therapist. Thankfully, what got me through the AIDS pandemic was therapy.
Yes.
I was going to kill myself. I remember that.
Oh.
Before the AIDS second company, it was into the summer. I thought that I'm going to have to die because I'm not going to go like that, like my boyfriend did. And
Mm.
so they put me in crisis. Thank God I reached out. A friend of mine said, you should talk to Dr. Bob Johnson, who ended up being,
Mm.
he served on the Clinton administration, my doctor. And I was in crisis counseling. He talked to me once a week. I thought about my age. I looked like I was like 12. I went to this kind of teenage house. It was called The Door, right? Very famous company over there on the West Side. Great, great service to the community. And once a week, I talked and I cried and I screamed, and he listened. I'm sure he's frustrated with me, but he got me through that.
Yes.
I got on the nerve to get tested, and I was negative, and I had a new lease on life. Right? And
Mm.
so that came back. Obviously, the COVID. I'm reliving all that now. The COVID thing. I have my own
Of
anxiety. But from
course.
that point on, I've been in therapy, if
Yes.
possible, and I've even been on medication for it because
Mm.
sometimes the depression is too much. So do
Yeah.
not be afraid. Who's I'm not taking medication. Well, okay, you can be a bully if you want to, but sometimes it gets you over the hump.
Yeah.
Just to think clearly, because when you're in that depressive state, you're seeing the whole world through depression. No matter
Right.
what you say, no matter how sunshiny it is, you feel bad,
Yeah.
right? And it's so bad, people don't eat, they don't shower, and they die. It can happen,
Yeah.
right? Or they do something worse, so they kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a student who actually threw herself in front of a train. Yeah, she was 18, and I
Oh.
told her mother, I said, I think she might be depressed. You go talk to a professional, and they didn't, and she's dead.
Oh,
Beautiful, beautiful
Aubrey.
dancer, and I will miss her forever, but she's gone. And so this is real, and I wish people spoke about it more because there is a way out. There
Yes.
is a way out, and
Yeah.
you are not weak if you ask for help. You are showing great courage.
Ooh, say that again,
You are
please.
not weak asking for help. You are showing great courage, the kind of
Ooh.
courage of self-love. You love yourself so
Yes.
much. No matter what anybody says about you, thinks about you, you are the divine version of yourself, the grandest version of yourself. That's you. And that person deserves the health of your best life, and you cannot do that alone. We are
Oh,
human beings. We are social creatures. You have to do this in your community. That's how I
yes.
feel.
Aubrey, this is awesome. I love you for being so. People are like in the comments. Thank you
I
so
see it. Yeah.
much for your candor and your honesty. Because
Yeah.
I live in that space too. Because when I left Ailey, a lot of people were just kind of like, "Oh, she'll be fine." She's just going on with her life, and had no idea. So not that I like talking about it, but I feel it's necessary for me to talk about it, especially to our young people who,
Yes.
where we are now, people are lost. I just found out about an old friend of mine. I won't say his name because just to protect his family, but
Yeah.
I had heard he passed away. He was older than me, and I thought maybe it was cancer. I didn't know what. He took his life because he was so depressed in this COVID situation and couldn't find work and left behind a daughter and his family.
Oh my
And
God.
so
Yeah.
this excuse
It's
my this is
real. And
real,
so if you feel this way, don't feel bad or stupid or weak. Feel like you're human.
right?
It's
We're all
human to
here.
feel. And this is
Yeah.
is impactful. The democracy is imperiled. This crazy man. We have
Oh,
on the brink of a civil war. We're being challenged with our color and our gender and our sexuality and our religion at every turn. There's now American terrorism, white supremacy happening. Of
I
course,
just
it's going to be a
tweeted
little
that
stress.
today, that Donald Trump is, I'm sorry to even bring his name into this right now.
I know, right? Yeah.
He's a domestic terrorist. I'm just saying
It's
that.
terrorism. I know that I have anxiety because I'm seeing that orange face on television. I have anxiety because I'm reliving my bullying years from those white people in Michigan.
Yeah.
Right? And so do not be surprised if you get a little bit depressed or anxious, right? Don't be surprised if you lose your job. Okay, you're going to be depressed.
Yeah.
I lost my job 3. I think I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
Right? You know, there are things in my life that have not changed in 10 years. I went to my storage facility. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
I put junk in there with Freddie Moore, who saved my life, Freddie Moore, who got me out of the depression, and the stuff is still there 10 years later.
Yeah.
That was about 11 years ago that I left. I was asked to leave a Lion King.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's real, people.
It is.
Don't be afraid. Even if you got to go to that little text thing as a commercial, we can text the therapist. Go talk to someone. There are free. There are free community centers, programs designed for us. If we want to do something crazy to ourselves, don't do it.
Yeah.
Ask for help, and it's real. It's okay. You are not crazy. You
I'm
are
so
human.
absolutely, and I'm so blessed for. And a lot of them are even watching now. The circle of people in my life that I have around me that I can just call and be like, I am, and hearing the siren now in your window, like I am feeling it today. I am like, when you cry, like this.
Cry.
Have that support.
I cried more this summer than I have in my entire life.
Oh my God.
I just don't, and somebody don't even know why you're crying. I mean, this is not
right.
Why am I crying? Just cry. Stop judging yourselves.
Stop judging yourselves. Well, this is why. So I want to get back to why it's so important to have this conversation and why you are who you are and why we need you is because you have all of this knowledge and experience, you know, trauma that you've you've lived through, you're living with,
managing right now.
But then you know what it feels like, you know what it takes, and the fact that now you've landed since 2011 at Harlem School of the Arts.
Yes.
Right, and you've been there and just imparting all of this knowledge to these young people. But let me just say, when I saw those videos, Aubrey Lynch, because the babies for me,
I know they're so
everything.
Adorable.
Our babies.
They are the future, literally. So we should all do what we can to support children, especially our Black and brown children. Period. Do what you can, or find someone who can, because they need us now more than ever. Now more than ever. Without healthy children, you do not have healthy adults.
Oh my!
Period.
Oh, say it again.
Right? Without healthy children, you don't have healthy adults. You have what we have now. People are not healthy, and these kids, after a year out of school, some kids aren't even in school.
Okay.
They're not even in school right now. So what's happening to them? Right. They're being impacted mentally by this freaking COVID, by this thing. And so what's going to happen to them? We have to look out for them. If you know something, your family, reach out. Be there for those children. Look at that.
I mean, look at them. Aubrey, I love you so much.
Danny.
Look at the babies.
Yeah, that's what saved my life. When I walked into H the first time and saw those kids, I was like, the children. And the parent, her name was Sherry Regis, her daughter was Star. She said to me, my daughter wants to dance, ... I was like, okay. And I realized she was coming to me, not just for dance, but to educate her family about the arts.
Yes.
What a huge responsibility that was.
Yes.
And so I took it personal, right? And I had designed the program from scratch. I had 3 studios, about 160 kids, and Leland. He was the only teacher it was Yvette Campbell was the CEO, right? Yes. And a brilliant woman. And Leland Simmons was the only faculty she kept. So I sat down with my little graph paper, and Freddie Moore helped me, and I designed my little curriculum. What do you do at 8 years old? What do you do at 3 years old? What do you do at 10 years old, right? And how do you become Renee Robinson? What does that track look like? And so I designed that, and through years of, I'm telling you, drama and crying and lack of resource and fighting personalities, the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And having a program that now that original group of kids, Amar Small, so I guess talk on here. Hey, Amar, he's 82. Nyla Bell just graduated from Juilliard, is now in Romber Ballet with Swan.
Yes.
And then we have Khair Mohammed. right there,
Complexion.
Kayer,
Here he
who's
is.
now in Complexion, and
Yes.
so on and so forth and so on. I've had 3 kids on Broadway and Lion King. I had a kid in Matilda, and
Yes.
Heidi Wright Joseph was in. She didn't go to HSA, but I coached her for audition for School of Rock. And there's Aubrey Joseph, who was in Lion King, and now the Cloak and Dagger. I mean, I am so proud of the work that we do at HSA. I cannot tell you. And it's not just about teaching the arts. It's about putting the blocks together for young people, for people. We're building human beings. Dorothy Maynard, our founder, was all about making kids see the beauty in their neighborhood, right? In them. And so I make sure there's Shahadi Ray Joseph there. She was in the movie Us and the voice of the Lion King movie. Shahadi is my girl.
Come on. We know
right?
her parents. They're beautiful in the community.
Yes, Dina Wright Joseph. I danced I believe at some point. Yeah, it's amazing. So
can we stop right there for a quick second and give honor and say her name? You know, the founder.
Dorothy Maynard.
Dorothy Maynard. I have
She was an opera singer, an African American opera singer, way ahead of her time.
Yes.
Very, very famous. And she was an opera singer, remember, in a white world, right? In the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And she decided in 1968, I'm making that up, she decided to found what she called there's a beautiful article, I have it somewhere, that says she talked with the Harlem School of the Arts and why she did it, which was to make young brown and black children feel that they did not have to go outside the community to find beauty. They had beauty in the community. We were the descendants of the Harlem Renaissance, and we earned the right to stand in the sun.
Yes.
Right?
So what I was able to dig up was, you know, she was a soprano whose voice had been called a miracle. However, she was never, because of racism, allowed to perform in opera houses.
Right.
She performed all over the world with this amazing voice, but was not allowed to perform in opera houses. And she was the first African American to perform at a U.S. presidential inauguration. Yeah. Okay. I mean, and even though she never had a chance to because of racism, I keep saying that word. Yeah. She was never able to perform, or allow, I should say, because she was able. Yeah. She was never allowed to perform at the Met Opera. She subsequently joined the board of directors in '75, the first African American person. Here we go again to join the board of directors. Right. But was never ever allowed to perform on that stage. Right. So she ended up getting married. She was in Harlem. I did my research because I like coming to these things half-assed.
You did your research. You did it. That's it. Tell it.
And I'm glad to have this conversation because this is education for me too. Because in my field, I want to be able to know what I'm talking about. You have to. Right. And you know, she got married. Her husband was a minister at a Presbyterian church in Harlem. He fell ill, so she retired from singing to care for him and be more involved in their church. Yeah. And she had a group of 12 kids at a church annex. It was actually 1963, which then developed into 1964 Harlem School of the Arts. Okay. Because she wanted the kids to have a place where they could go and train in all of the arts. And by the time she left, it had expanded into the footprint of what we see now. So we give her favor, we say her name, and she actually ended up living out her last years right outside Philly in Westchester.
Oh, is that right? I did not know that piece.
Oh, look. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Aubrey, I'm trying to make this happen, man. I'm trying to have a TV show.
Her Albert Foundation has given us $9.2 million to renovate the facade of the building. Yes. And the space is called Dorothy Maynard Hall.
I think I have a photo here somewhere. Here it is. Oh.
Yes. Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, people.
Yes. They just finished it. We can't really go in there. We've been in there for a couple of little shoots and things, but we can't have class there yet. We will be in there soon enough. But yeah, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And I to go through the time where the school closed in 2010. Yeah. We opened it, and then I was brought on to build the dance program, the musical theater program, and that I graduated in January, was asked to become in charge of all the programs. Yes. Dance, theater, visual arts, music, and all that stuff under the my chief officer title. And it's been an honor and probably the most rewarding time of my life.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, Aubrey.
No, it is. It's second only to doing Revelation on stage. That was the moment. Doing Rev on stage with Alvin in the audience was the pinnacle. And unfortunately, I did it first. So let's try the time. But now, when I think about seeing Kayer dance with Dwight and Desmond, on the 10th anniversary, right? To see Amar, you know, in his rehearsal clips I see online with him twirling with the Ailey 2 kids, and to see Nia Lavelle in London,
Yes.
you know, dancing with Ron. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm so lucky, right?
Yeah.
You know, to see Kayla McLaughlin, who was a student at HSA at 8 years old, now this 10 million followers on Twitter because he's in Stranger Things and all kinds of other stuff going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my student.
Yes.
You know? I still work with him sometimes.
Also somewhere, but I can't find it right now.
Yeah, but that's us. That's us, right? Little boy at the time at Lion King stage there.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of that. You know,
yes.
I'm like, well, okay, if I die tomorrow, God forbid, I did my share. You know,
Hopefully you won't.
Hopefully I won't. I shouldn't say that a lot. But the thing is, there's a lot more I want to do. But I know that for those of you dealing with depression and anxiety, another way to do it is service. When you're in service or the people, right? Being in service changes your body chemistry. Being in gratitude changes your body chemistry. If you say, thank you, God, for whatever.
Yes,
or thank you to whatever. Genuine gratitude changes the chemicals in your body, and you feel happier.
Yes.
So if you feel depressed, get out of bed, get in the sun, and be grateful. That is what you have to do. If you can't do that, you got to call for help. Okay?
There's that saying that I can't remember who said it, or when you're feeling helpless, help someone. And I live by that.
That's exactly right. It really works.
Service.
So those kids saved my life. After Lion King, I was lost. Yeah. And that first day, and that first few weeks, we were invited to the Apollo to do this dance, and I choreographed this dance called Sweet, Sweet, Sweet on EMEA, on Earl Mosey School of the Arts. And we did this dance at the Apollo with these 20 kids. It was a hot mess. But
and I know you told them
Brantley, but the guy that Brantley was who's the Clive Thompson, one of the biggest, I don't remember the name, reviewed it and said it was brilliant.
Oh wow! See,
because the kids. Unfortunately, my name was not in the program, so they didn't know I choreographed it. But it was nice to give that acknowledgement. There they are. That's sweet, sweet, sweet. Isn't that great? Look at these kids. And they kept me going. They gave me a reason to stay on the earth.
Yes.
I did not need Alvin Ailey. I did not need luck. I did not need love or the fake attention from somebody else. I needed to be there for these Black and brown kids that needed the information that I have. So they might have a life better than mine.
Oh my God. And that's part of my job with Summer Stage. That's one of my biggest joys, and one of the biggest things I miss about not being able to do this season is being out there with them kids and them parks. Yes. And I mean, that was when we worked together. Actually, wait, let me go back even a little bit further to when you actually performed Summer Stage with Cecilia Marta.
I thought I would die that day. I was like, Aubrey, what are you doing?
In Monkeek Park in Brooklyn. I remember I couldn't be there because I was still touring with Gloria Gaynor, but my friend
that's right. Yeah.
Who I hope is still watching, she hosted for me that day. But I just actually saw a video on YouTube of this performance. So you kids, you can find it on YouTube. Okay.
I don't think I've got. I've not seen that on YouTube. Okay.
But this was Aubrey performing for Summer Stage in Brooklyn in 2009.
Wow.
And yes, so this piece you had your kids perform for us in 2016.
Yeah.
In Marcus Garvey Park, and when I tell you that little brother in the front stole the show. Stole the show. Yeah. I mean, they were so good. Yeah. And I was so happy because, again, I said this before, that when our Black and brown babies see other Black and brown babies doing this,
it makes all the difference. Yeah.
It makes all the difference. And then fast forward to 2019, last year, I called upon you again to send a piece for 2 pieces, actually, you came with for the Clark Center anniversary. And the beautiful Isio Maya.
Yes, Isio Maya.
Baby.
Who's now in NYU Tisch.
Yes. Oh, she opened the program.
And also commercials.
Yeah, she opened the program. Yeah. And just, amazing.
She's great. And I'm just so happy because I didn't even realize that, we just said, all people, let alone Black and brown children, seeing Black and brown children perform at a high level is life-changing because we don't see it. We know they do it. Of course we know they do it all the time. But they're not going to put that on the news.
Exactly.
Right? Unless they rob something.
That's right.
We have a whole community of kids that are effective and they're well-balanced and they can twirl, they can sing, they act, they're smart, they're in academics. and no one's talking about them.
Right.
We need to see them because they are there. We
Yes.
were once that.
You
And
were there
despite
for
our challenges, look
Aubrey.
at my boys. My boys.
Look at
Yeah.
your
That's sweet. Gotta
guys.
hold them
Hey,
up.
Benny Meek. So if you guys, after this is over, want to go back, I put 2 videos on my Instagram page. One where Aubrey is teaching his young baby boys how to bow properly. And so I mean, when I tell you, it broke my heart, but in a good way. Like your heart just breaks wide open seeing these videos. And then the second one, he's putting the baby girl ballerinas through their paces on the stage. It is divine. It is divine.
Yeah. The
You know,
Harlem School of the Arts have been the biggest gift of my life. I have to say.
yes.
Despite all the ups and downs, it's the greatest gift of my life. And I do hope that anyone watching can support us. Go to hsanyc.org. We're open for spring registration. It's all virtual. We hope to have an in-person summer and praying for an in-person fall.
Yes.
And we need your support. Bring your kids for training, for the love of dance, music, theater, and visual arts, and life.
Yes.
And learn to be a beautiful, functional person.
Yes.
And even if you don't perform, we will support you all through college.
That's right. Well, I will, after this, I will certainly have a link to this, to HSA, through my Instagram links, where people can find out more about the programs, the intensives that are coming up, how to donate, even though, yes, we see that you guys have, redone the building and all this, but that doesn't mean the money can't keep
for
coming.
The building. That's not for the program.
That's for the building, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We still need another $9 million for that. So any dollar we have would be great because the kids really do need your support because everyone can't afford to buy point shoes or tutus or art supplies, music, all that, or instruments. We do need support from anywhere and everywhere.
Speaking of art supplies, somebody just said, Aubrey, you are a gift too. Yes, he is. And yes, you are, Aubrey.
Thank you.
But speaking of arts and crafts, are you still, wait. Are you still knitting?
Sweaters.
Crochet?
Danny, I don't know. That was in the time between Lion King and Ailey. I began crocheting sweaters in Ailey to kill the time with the Air Force and transit, right? And we're making sweaters, and I opened a line. I was reviewed in the New York Times. It was great. And they wanted me to create 2,000 pieces per season, the showroom. And I just couldn't. That was the same month I booked Lion King. I thought, well, Lion King, fashion, I chose Lion King. But here's the real talk. Due to the therapy and medication that I was taking, it can affect your creativity. So a side effect was that I think what happened is the medication kind of robbed me of that thing because I look at the pattern because I made my own patterns. I look at them and it's like someone else did it. It's the strangest thing. And I go, well, how would I ever find that again? Because I've not made a sweater in years.
Oh wow.
So I don't know. I asked my psychiatrist. He said, well, sometimes it can take away parts of your creativity.
Oh wow.
I'm being very vulnerable right now because I just hope that if you're out there, consider medication. There are side effects, and they're not fun. But I know because of my brain and what I was going through, I had to have help to get through that dark period. Right. Therapy was not enough, and my best friend Freddie was not enough. My family wasn't enough. I had to kind of have a reason to live, and that period between Lion King and the kids is where I used that the most.
Well, you know what? Your creativity is being, poured into those children now. And that is that side of your brain that we are so thankful for that has opened up and will stay opened up because they need you. I mean, we need you. I need you.
And I need you, Danny. We need you, Danny. We need each other. It takes a village. We have cried, people. We have cried on the phone together. So, and we're not crying.
We were sobbing that day. Remember, we were
up and down. People, don't think you're gonna land one day on your feet and be like, "I'm good."
I just thought about.
What's that?
I just thought about that conversation. Was it like a year ago when we were just on the phone, just sobbing, just frustrated?
We were. Drama. We were.
I was like, why are we being put through this drama and we're just trying to help our community and put some beautiful art out into the world? Right. It really should not be this.
It should not be painful.
Trying.
It's for putting art into the world should be the greatest honor and should be celebrated and assisted in every way possible. But instead, people are fighting for scraps. I forget people because especially now with COVID, we're all a bit more emotional, a bit more reactive. I'm a bit more reactive and much more moody. So I try to forget people when they golf. But some people want to golf. What'd you say? What?
Okay.
But you know, you want to kind of go there, but you got to go. Okay, let's self-evaluate, self-reflect. How can I better myself? How can I be a better communicator, even under the pressure of COVID and the fear of this new disease or whatever else is going on in your life? Because unfortunately, COVID is not the worst of it. You know, for my life, there are things that are worse than COVID. To me, I'm spooked by the whole thing. I get nervous about it and don't want to catch it. But there's other life issues I have going on that are more horrible that stress me out, right? And sometimes my job, you know, the responsibility I have to be clear, make decisions, and to do the right thing is very stressful.
Heavy wears the crown.
You know, there's not a lot of resources for us. We're not like government subsidized like in Europe. We have to earn every penny and ask for the donations, and we have to do the work even when there's not going to be pay. That's really commensurate with the work that you're doing.
Right.
So you have to dedicate yourself to the work, and that's another piece that saved me. If you just do the work, whatever that work is, human beings need to be engaged. I hope it's meaningful, but if the work in of itself is not meaningful, think about how the work is a stepping stone to do what you got to do.
Yes.
Right. What you want to do. Do the work, and even though people sometimes at the jobs or in the theaters or the company or the choreographers, they have this stuff going on, and it affects you. You got to say, I am here for the work. Get thee behind me, Satan. Get thee behind me.
Get thee behind me, Satan. That's right.
I'm sorry to go there. Dudley Williams used to say that a lot. Get thee behind me, Satan. Anyway, I say that. I say, if you're not on this path, then you're Satan. Get behind me. I don't need you in my life. Thank you for sharing. Now get out of my way. I'm going there.
That's right.
You got to remind yourself of that. And it hurts. It's awkward and it's uncomfortable. And sometimes feelings get hurt. Sometimes your feelings get hurt. My feelings get hurt. But if it's about the work, put a face to your mission. If you're fighting for black and brown children, that's mission. Bring it. I will take, God forbid, I take a bullet for those kids. I will. So come on.
Yeah. I'm going to the mat. I'm going to the mat for our babies. I'm sorry.
Right. Don't give up, people. I know it's hard. It sounds inspirational and happy and all that. It is not happy. I'm going to come off of this. I'm probably have a good cry because I really touched some hot spots.
Yes.
And call a friend. We are in this together. You are not alone. It may feel like you're alone. It may feel like no one else thinks like you think or feels. We are feeling very similar experiences right now. Yeah. It's impossible not to because we're human. We cannot see pain, people dying, or poor doctors and nurses, the essential workers out there in that mess. It's hard right now. Yeah. People have lost. Broadway is closed. God forbid you're a Broadway star. What are you doing right now? Nothing. Right. Amanda doing that for a while. So it's real. Mm-hmm. So let it affect you. Own the effects. I'm going to be depressed today. Tomorrow I'm getting back up. But you got to get back up. You allow yourself to feel. Just don't spiral down to that darkness. If you spiral down, and you know who you are. Go ask for help. The help is there. People are there to help us. Yeah. So ask for it.
That's right. Well, you know what? Honestly, I'm gonna leave it there because where to go from there. But I appreciate you so much, Aubrey.
Thank you.
I appreciate your honesty. You've always been super honest, and I am here for you. Thank you. We're here for each other. This has been brilliant.
Yes, I love talking to you.
Fingers crossed, technology will work with me, and I'll be able to save this properly. This will be uploaded. Yeah. Go back and watch it afterwards. No, I mean, listen. Early on when I was doing this, it was so janky. I couldn't save nothing. It was so sketchy. I watched some of the earlier ones. I was like, oh, but this has been such an important conversation on so many levels.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will hopefully be able to share it once we close out. But thank you so much, Aubrey. Stay safe. Love to your family.
Thank you.
And we will hopefully be able to hug and have drinks and toast very, 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 very soon. This has been amazing.
Thank you. I love you so much.
Everything that you've
accomplished. Thank you for what you're doing in the world. I love you. I'm a big fan. And we need you to stay strong, girl. Stay strong, okay? Stay strong.
Yes,
Aubrey. You need me. Okay, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye everyone.
Oh my God, how amazing was that? Before I close out, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna do one more live last week for the end of the year, and it's gonna be my great friend, Freedom Bradley, the director out at the Globe Theater in San Diego, who was responsible for helping me get the job at Summer Stage, so that'll be next Friday. But I'm just taking this quick moment because, again, we gotta support each other. And in my Instagram page, you'll see my link tree. And there's links to some independent, Black-owned, woman-owned businesses that please support if you can. You want to get something for yourself or some presents for others if you have a little change around, if you do. This kimono is by my girl, Stephanie Allen. She's on my page. And also a link to my girl, Zinda's Mary Kay page. And she's selling cosmetics for Mary Kay. And I don't have this on my page yet, but it's winter. It's, you know, you don't want to be dry and ashy. Don't be ashy. Okay, don't be ashy. Okay, kids, stay moisturized out in these streets. But that's it. Wear your masks. Stay safe. Thank you all for watching. And love you all. We need you all. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, guys. Bye.